Alright, party people, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I am your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week, I am joined by my good friend, stand-up comedian, Chris Hale, for a game of Don't Rest Your Head. Don't Rest Your Head is an urban fantasy horror game in which players take on the role of insomniacs, trapped in the Mad City, an ever-evolving, ever-shifting place where things don't quite make sense. The secret to their success? An arsenal of superpower seemingly triggered by their inhuman, boundless exhaustion. Players have to navigate and escape the city and its assortment of strange, otherworldly inhabitants, all while resisting that urge to let your eyelids droop, close for just a moment and drift off to sleep. Because in the Mad City, sleep is worse than death. I really like this game, y'all. This is a really good game. Anyway, Chris is wonderful. Chris is a stand-up comedian, as I said, taking part in this year's Philly's Funniest, which is an annual stand-up competition out of Helium Comedy in Philadelphia. Chris will be performing tonight. That's May 29th at 7 p.m. at Helium Comedy in Philadelphia. If you listen to this episode, you should go out and support him, because Chris is good people, and it would make me really happy to have some party people out there to support a good friend doing some good work. There's more information in the show notes about Chris, Don't Rest Your Head, and Philly's Funniest. Check it out for more information. And with all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me.
Thanks, future me. This week, I am sitting down with my good friend Chris Hale. Chris, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thanks, Jeff. I've been so excited for this for literally months.
I have too. I've also been very excited about this. So real quick, at the top of the show, why don't you take a moment and talk about anything that you've got coming up, any projects you're working on, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I fancy myself a bit of a stand-up comedian, and I have entered Philly's Funniest, which is a large multi-show competition to find Philly's funniest person. So I'm going to be entering that for the first time, despite weeks earlier saying that, you know, I don't take comedy that seriously. I'm not going to do any contests. And then I immediately did the first contest available to me. So
I understand that work ethic a lot of I'm not going to take this seriously. And then the second I think about it for more than a minute, I'm like, oh no, I've planned 17 things.
I have a problem with making my hobbies my whole life sometimes. So I just wanted to take it easy with the trying to do more comedy more seriously again. But yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. I haven't gotten my date yet, but that'll be fun. That's at Helium Comedy Club in Philly. And it's a great contest. I know a lot of comedians that are going to be doing it, a lot of people who are way funnier than me. And so definitely go down there, check it out. And it'll be a really good time. It'll be a good night. And yeah, and I've in my retirement from my last hobby, which was being involved in professional wrestling, I've kind of dived back into role-playing games again, and I have been trying my hand at a little bit of game design. And I happen to notice that there's a contest that I noticed on Twitter to write a 200-word role-playing game. And so I have been working on one of those, and I'm kind of playtesting it with some friends now. And I'm going to enter that because apparently that's what I do. I find other people's cool hobby, and then I enter contests that I will lose.
Yeah, that's I think what we all do. I mean, I can safely say I have no idea what it's like to turn your hobbies into your whole life. On a related note, listeners, if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, that would be tremendously helpful. Leave us an iTunes review. Follow me on Twitter. That would all be great. No, I don't know. I know it's foreign experience to me.
Yeah. So you get where I'm coming from a little bit.
I do get where you're coming from.
But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. This week we are playing Don't Rest Your Head. It is a game we played before on the show. It is one of my favorite games. There's so much I like about it, and I'm really excited to dive in.
Yeah, me too. When you sent me the description, I was like, yes, I will definitely play this. And I feel like even the character creation even was just unlike an experience I've had before. So this is going to be good. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super pumped. So why don't you, speaking of characters, why don't you introduce us to your character this week?
Sure. My character this week, I'm going to,
I realized I didn't ask you what his name was.
Yeah, because again, I struggle sometimes when I play. It's do I want to play it serious and really explore that? Or do I want to be a little tongue-in-cheek? And so I went serious with the characters. So I'm going to go a little tongue-in-cheek with the name. I'm going to go with Miami Vargas.
Miami Vargas. That's a good name.
I love names where people's first names are a city. It is a known thing.
I love a good noun name. Or a good verber name. I realized is like.
Oh, so give me an example, like runner,
like
hunter,
runner. I also just verbs. I think verbs and verbers are my go-to names. So runner, slash, hacks, any sort of like verb.
I like that. Okay,
last name. I go in on. That's my go-to.
Yeah, I like cities like Denton, Miami. You know what I mean? That was like the best thing about that zombie movie was the like Tallahassee. That's a great name for a hero.
It is. Yeah. Okay, so tell me about Miami.
Miami is a kind of an overweight goofball. So very far away from what I am in real life. And he is very concerned about his health and some chest pains that he's been having recently. And he hasn't been sleeping very well. And hasn't slept in 5 days, which I'm pretty sure is humanly impossible. So we don't know if it's a sleep thing or a you're asleep but you think you're awake kind of thing. But he's really looking to kind of make his make his nest egg, make his big score, so to speak, and kind of get away from it all.
Yeah. And unfortunately, at the start of the story, something that you suggested, one of the things in character creation that I love is one of the questions is what just happened. So tell me what just happened.
Well, I was out driving at night, and when you drive in the woods at night and kind of like there's kind of just like a wall on either side of you, and you're looking through the windshield and your headlights only go so far into the darkness. And so if you really stare ahead while you're driving and you're tired and it's dark and you're the only car on the road kind of almost does this Road Runner 2D effect where your headlights only go so far into the darkness. And so you're just basically, you feel like you're on one of those like child's toy video games that would be like just on a loop and you would just move the little icon on like the running piece of fabric. Like, and so I'm running on that little piece of fabric, and I don't know if I hit something or something hit me, but all I know is all of a sudden I was spinning and tumbling, and I wound up on the roof of the car, and car wound up on its roof, and I wound up crawling out of a window, and relatively unscathed, but
weirdly so, given how gruesome the car looks.
Yeah, so that is what has just happened to me.
And so you crawl out of the car, and the car is gone. It is no longer, the car is not a concern. But you're looking, and you're kind of surveying the area and trying to get a handle on like whether you hit something, whether something hit you, and you see a mass, like just the headlights are kind of like illuminating it, or the one headlight that hasn't exploded is like illuminating it just a little bit. And you're seeing that like you're at the edge of the woods, and the city is kind of down a hill a little bit. And there's this mass in the road. You can't quite make out what it is. But what you make out immediately, and two things kind of hit you immediately. One, the sirens of an ambulance, which, wonderful, good.
Yeah.
But two, it's real quiet otherwise. Real quiet. Quiet enough that you don't actually know how that ambulance figured out where you were, or that this accident had happened. What do?
Well, the car's not mine, so I don't really want to be involved with anyone in an official capacity, certainly not a uniformed capacity. I'd almost like to step a little closer to that mass and see what it is exactly I'm dealing with.
You close in on it, and you've probably got to light it up with your phone or something, or maybe if you have a flashlight on your keychain, like it needs a little extra light. Like, it's real dark out. Like, there are no street lights or anything. This road doesn't seem terribly safe, and it seems almost anachronistically unlit, right? Like, it feels like even this far out, there should be some kind of illumination, but there's not.
Okay.
And you get closer to this mass, and hand to the sky, you put the light on it, and you've probably never seen an airplane tail close up. But there's a goddamn airplane tail sticking out of the ground right now. And it looks like it hit your car. But it looks like it doesn't look like it fell from the sky, is the really weird part. It's kind of just jutting from the ground. And it looks like you hit this.
I feel like an intense burning situation going on in my lungs right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it smoking? Is it smoldering? Is it intact and just in the ground like some weird, like Klaus Ollenberg, like sculpture? Or
That's
is it
exactly what it is. It's just in the ground. Like, it's just there, jutting out of the ground. You don't see the rest of it. There's no rest of the plane. You just kind of see, like, the back, like, 10% of a plane. Like, the tail, like, just the tail of a plane jutting out of the ground. On this dirt road.
I feel like this is exactly what gets people killed, but I feel like if I see something like this, I gotta touch it.
Mm-hmm.
So I reach out and touch the tail, touch that like last rudder piece that's hinged on the back, you know?
And it's banged up and dented and ruffled, and like you kind of cut your finger a little bit on it, on like a jagged piece of metal.
Okay.
But otherwise it's just there. And as you kind of lean in to touch it, like the light of your flashlight or your phone catches... Maybe it's not even the flashlight. Maybe it's the lights from the ambulance. Like, you catch just a little tiny glimpse of one of the buildings on the city below. And you just see doors. Like 6 of them arranged into some semblance of a building. And that's about when the ambulance pulls up and people start, like, running out of it.
How many people are there?
2 paramedics pull up, and you turn, and they're mostly shrouded in like darkness, except for that they're kind of lit from behind with the ambulance light, and you don't get the best look at them, but they seem very stoic, and they're kind of running. They're running to the car. One of them is kind of like looking to you and pointing to you, and that's about when the car pulls up behind them.
I call the paramedics over. And
all right.
Desperately. I'm sorry. I didn't know how much I'm actually supposed to.
No, please
tell you.
Yeah.
I call the paramedics over and I desperately ask them to help me look in the side of the road and in the woods for my wife, who was in the car but is no longer. I woke up. She was gone. We hit something. Basically, I'm trying to get them to go away so I can jump in the ambulance and steal it.
Sure. Okay. And I assume that there is not actually a wife in the car.
Correct.
All right, good. So we're going to make our first roll. This is going to be, as you pull them close, this is about... Yeah, as you pull them close, you notice what's real weird about them. They, you pull one close, you start explaining this, and the light hits his head just right. And there's this glint of metal off of his nose. and the red and blue lights of the ambulance kind of hit the plastic back half of his head. His head's a push pin? That's probably not right.
Oh, God.
And then you kind of see that, yeah, the other ambulance driver's head is also a push pin, and oh yeah, so you see somebody get out of the car, and same deal, and this guy's dressed like, think the worst 70s, like, journalist stop character, except with a push pin for a head.
Perfect, okay.
And like a hat hovering over the push pin. I'm gonna ask you for a roll now to convince these pinheads to leave you alone so you can get in the ambulance. So the way this is gonna work is you're going to roll a number of dice, and we're gonna build a dice pool, you're gonna roll it, and I'm gonna roll some pain dice against it, and then we're gonna figure out what happens.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the first thing you're gonna roll is your 3 discipline dice. You can choose if you, if you would like to use your exhaustion talent, which is, you have a supernatural ability to lie, as we explained in our character creation. If you'd like to use your lying ability, you can increase your exhaustion by 1 and roll an exhaustion dice.
Okay, and how many sides do the dice have?
They're all 6-sided dice.
Oh, perfect, I have them.
So the first thing you'll roll is your 3 discipline dice.
Okay, and then, I'm sorry, I have a clarifying question. Is the exhaustion ability a glass cannon, like a one-time use?
No. What happens is you use it, your exhaustion goes up, and then every dice pool you roll after that, you'll add exhaustion to it. If you get to 6 exhaustion, you fall asleep, which is probably very, very bad.
Sweet. Okay. I'm going to skip the exhaustion dice on this time.
Okay.
So I hit the 3 discipline dice, correct?
Yes, and then you can optionally also roll, so you have your discipline dice, which are white, your exhaustion dice, which are black, which you're choosing not to roll, which means you're not going to get access to your superhuman lying ability. You're just going to try to bluff them naturally. Then you can choose to add a number of madness dice, which are red, as many as you like. I'm going to be rolling 4 pain dice, which might hurt you or cause you to fail your roll.
Okay, so ostensibly I would roll my 3 discipline dice, and if I say wanted to add 2 madness dice to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and
so
then you want to count any 1s, 2s, or 3s that you get.
Okay.
On each dice pool.
Yep.
So we'll take it step by step. Roll your discipline dice and tell me how many 1s, 2s, and 3s you get, how many successes, as well as the highest result.
Okay, I have 1, 2, and
so 1 success.
And my highest result was a 6.
Alright. So now, if you would like to add any madness or exhaustion dice, you're not adding any exhaustion dice.
Correct.
And if you want to add any madness dice to that, roll them now and do the same thing. Tell me how many successes and the highest number.
2 successes. Highest number 3.
Okay. So, I got 2 successes, high number 6. And I also got 2 6s. How many 6s did you get in your discipline dice?
1.
Okay, then yeah. What happens now is you succeed.
Yes.
But pain is the dominant. What it is you succeed. Is 3 successes, pain dominates.
Ooh.
That has a specific rules meaning that I'm going to pull up in the rules summary real quick.
I cannot wait to read this entire game when we're done. I'm glad I left myself in the dark.
Oh yeah, there's some cool stuff happening. Okay. Ooh, fun.
For you or for me?
If pain dominates, I get to take a coin and put it in my despair coffer.
Ooh.
What that means is that I get to make things very bad later. But then when I do, I give you that coin and you can make things very good later. But for now, I just get to have this coin to say that that this is gonna come back to haunt you.
Do you keep your despair coffer in the living room or in the bedroom?
I'm more of a bedroom guy.
I figured, yeah, okay.
when you're tired and you just want to drop some things off in the despair coffer.
Exactly.
So you explain that, and the two paramedic pinheads immediately run to the car. Right, you're wide open. You get in the ambulance. You take off.
Nice.
What happens is the price that you pay is that this sleazy journalist immediately hops in his car and follows behind you. And immediately starts tailing you and starts, like, talking into one of those old-timey handheld recorders, what is his name from Twin Peaks? Dale Cooper.
Thank
Dale
you.
Cooper
Exactly. I was like,
Peaks.
oh my god, now I had a brain. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he starts immediately talking into one of those old-timey recorders, like Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks. You see him, and he's just, you're looking in the mirror, it's just pointing this little point, and, like, at this recorder, and you assume words are coming out, but damn if you see a mouth. And the two of you, are you going towards or away from the city?
Towards.
It doesn't matter. You go towards the city.
Yeah. I'm headed towards the city. I've turned the sirens off.
Mm-hmm.
If I stop, does he stop? Okay.
You pull into the city. It is everything. You have entered into the Mad City. It is a collection of buildings, a collection of doorways. It's where things go when they get lost. So there's that doorway that you never opened and you never saw where it went. It's here.
Huh.
Old-timey buildings that just kind of, like, got condemned and closed down, maybe turned up here. So there's all different architecture styles, buildings from all over the world. You see more of these airplane tails and wings jutting out of things, of all these planes that went missing from the sky. It's just this place that isn't there. You're driving and you see people running along rooftops, just kind of following the car. And you see people just looking and just kind of standing, not doing anything, just blank-faced, almost like they're asleep, and you're not. Like you're the only person that's awake in the world. And there's this car behind you, being driven by a man with a pushpin for a head. What do you do?
I am going to, I pull off. I keep taking a turn. Mm-hmm. I turn right. I turn left. I see if he keeps up with me. I find the darkest little, driveway next to a shuttered tire store. And I pull in there, and I stop the ambulance, and I shut it off. And I go back into the kind of patient bay of the ambulance. And I attempt to go invisible.
Okay. So, you're going to use your madness talent, which is invisibility.
Correct.
Do you want to just go invisible yourself, or do you want the whole ambulance to go invisible?
My thought was to try to go invisible myself, to lure the pushpin into the ambulance.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. For that, if you're sitting still, it'll take a while. I'm going to rate this at a difficulty of 3, which means we're going to make a roll to try and lure the pinhead into the ambulance. And you're going to have to put 3 madness dice into your pool.
Okay.
So, let's make that roll. I'm going to be rolling first. I'm going to roll 3 pain dice. I got 1 success with a high of 5. So roll your discipline pool.
2 success, high of 5.
All right. Now roll your 3 madness dice.
Oh! Triple 3s.
Oh, that's very good. That's extremely good. Because that means discipline dominates. That means you succeed with 4 successes, which is exceptional.
Oh, yes.
And discipline dominates, which is the best possible outcome.
Can I narrate my plan here? What I would like
please.
to do, maybe?
Everything that you want to happen right now happens. Like, you tell me how perfectly it goes off.
I stop the ambulance. I go invisible in the corner of the patient bay of the ambulance. Mm-hmm. I wait for him to open it. And as he approaches the driver's cabin, I grab the defibrillator off the wall.
Oh, damn.
And I put it up to that giant pinhead. And I let it rip.
Oh, and he just lights up. It smells like... It doesn't smell like burning flesh. It smells like melted plastic. The whole ambulance just reeks. Like somebody put something in the... Like somebody put a plastic spoon in the microwave.
Ugh.
It's just
that worst gross. Plastic smell.
Yeah, right? And so you've got like, and it's not, you know, because an ambulance, it's all like sealed off and hypo and like designed to keep things from like leaking. So it's just trapped in there.
Yeah, it's an antiseptic environment. Oh,
yeah. So that smell's not going anywhere. And he's out. He is out. He is done.
Can I examine him? Is he just like a pin body? Does the pin...
It looks like it looks like he had a person's body, but that smell sure says otherwise.
Anything in his pockets? Any identification? Any weapons? Any cash?
No weapons. You find that tape recorder. It seems to be in working order. There is also like a notepad. There's a press badge. And there's a press badge, and it says, Parker Halloway. Parker Halloway, Taxman News. That's Tax, T-A-C-K-S.
Well, I feel like I'm not gonna get anywhere impersonating him without a pinhead.
Probably not.
How difficult would it be to remove the pinhead from the body?
I'm going to say it would be spectacularly difficult because you're basically beheading a person.
Okay. I just wanted to see if their body physics worked the same way ours did.
Yeah. You try it, like you try to. It's weird because it's not attached by a neck, like you're trying, and so you reach for it.
There's got to be a medical saw in the ambulance, right?
It moves like the head on a neck.
Okay. I'm going to search the ambulance for any kind of accelerant and try to start a small fire that will engulf the ambulance. And hopefully,
I think you're pretty much able to do that more or less immediately.
Okay.
It lights up. You get out of the ambulance, and you light up the ambulance, and you get out, and you look around, and there are witnesses. You know, you see them on the roof. At first, they're just silhouettes, but then they start kind of hopping down.
Oh, God.
And you just start hearing, extra, ambulance fire, taxman down. Murder in the Mad City? Oh. Hold on, I gotta look up his name. I forgot the character, forgot the name. Extremely good name. Oh, Officer Tock is gonna hate this. Officer Tock will not like this. Extra, read all about it. 50 cents. 50 cents for a paper. There are 6 old-timey newsies surrounding you.
Oh, I don't like this at all.
What do?
I would like to... I'd like to attempt to use my exhaustion talent, and I'm going to lie to them and say that guy attacked me and I did this in self-defense.
Okay, I love it. Let's make a roll. I said there are 6 of them, so I'm going to be rolling 6 pain dice. Okay. That's not great. That's 3 successes, high of 6.
Okay. So 3 discipline?
You are going to roll your discipline dice. Give me your discipline roll.
1 fell off the table, of course. 2 successes, 6 high. I can't tell if I'm rolling well or not, which is kind of what I love about this.
You've been rolling pretty well so far.
I feel like if you're gonna play this game, go in dark.
Yeah, this is I'm really enjoying you not quite knowing. It's very.
It's
fun.
amazing. This is great.
Now roll your exhaustion dice.
How many?
Just the one.
Okay.
You're increasing your exhaustion by 1, so you roll 1 to exhaustion dice. Which means that your exhaustion permanently goes up by 1, so now every roll after that you will add an exhaustion dice.
I hit a 2.
Okay, so that's 1 success. 1 success, high of 2. Now if you'd like to add any madness dice, you can add them now.
Up to how many?
As many as you'd like. But know that the more dice you roll, the more likely it is that madness dominates and things go very badly. Maybe not terribly. I mean, you've got all of your fear responses.
Well, I feel like in keeping
you need
with the
one success to succeed, is what I'll say.
Okay, in keeping with the spirit of the game, let's go 5. And I got no successes whatsoever. 3 5s, a 6, and a 4.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay. So what happens is pain dominates, which means I'm going to take... Actually, you know what? I'm not going to have pain. I'm going to just straight up take away... I'm going to take away... well, if pain's dominating, I'm just going to keep it and add that coin to my despair coffer as pain dominates. You barely succeed. What happens is they start, they kind of disperse. You know, a few of them. One of them hands you a paper, though. And just kind of like, here you go, buddy, but, I know what the papes wrote, and, you're not gonna like it.
I rarely do anytime I've been in the newspaper.
Do you look at the newspaper?
Well, anytime that I've ever appeared in the newspaper, like, as a child in a Peter Pan costume for Dress Up as Your Favorite Book Character Day, that was on the fridge for a while.
It's got tomorrow's date on it. And it says, hold on. There's a thing I might have to ask you to roll against. Oh, yeah, okay. It's got tomorrow's date on it. And what it says is, Officer Tock declares war on, Mad City's latest serial killer. And Officer Tock is standing on at a podium. And this is your first look at Officer Tock. He has a pocket watch for a face. His mouth is open. He's kind of like pointing with one finger and he's yelling. And his mouth is just full of spinning gears. And they're spinning on the newspaper. It's like a GIF. On this old-timey newspaper. And that doesn't sound great.
So I'm the serial killer?
Yes, it says, Miami Vargas, suspect in, vandalism and murder. Tock has sworn to bring down the full hammer of justice on this individual.
I mean, my natural instinct would be to get out of town, steal a car, go back up through the woods, but I don't want to run into any more embedded airplanes.
Yeah, it's pretty late. It's like, what, 12:30? Maybe 12, between 12 and 12:15, probably. That's actually the last thing you hear one of the paper boys say as he starts climbing on some of these, like, old fire escapes. He says, yeah, I'd want to get out of town, too, especially before 13 o'clock.
Do I see any kind of, like, central, like, clock tower? Is there a bank with a digital display? Like
there is a very old-timey clock tower. And it's ticking. It's actually a clock tower, but the face of it is like a wristwatch. One of those very intricate wristwatches. Like a sport watch.
Like the Casio, like, data computer, like that kind of wristwatch?
No, I'm thinking like a I'm thinking like a sport watch where it's got all of the hands on it, but it also has day and date dials. It's got a lot of dials and a lot of hands. And you can see it's 12:17 a.m. And there's a 13 right at the end of the clock.
What do I have on my person?
You tell me. What did you have on you when you went out driving? Like, I'll let you have anything within reason.
Okay, a wallet with a credit card with a $250 limit.
Yeah.
$36 in cash.
Okay.
A pocket knife.
Sure.
A protein bar.
Half eaten.
That's probably about it.
All right. That's enough to get you out of the city, probably. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'd imagine. But, you're looking at this paper, and there is an editorial from, another one of these pinhead journalists. And it just says, for all of his, it says, let's not jump to excising Vargas too soon. I've heard from a certain taxman up above that, that ticker of his, burning hot as it is awful valuable.
And this is another journalist that wrote this?
Yeah, it's just another entry in the paper.
What's his name?
His name is Biggs Malone.
Do I see a payphone?
Yeah, absolutely. You look around, you kind of do a 360, and you don't see one, and then you start to turn around again, and there's just one right over your shoulder. It's that kind of city.
Is Biggs Malone in the book?
Yeah. In fact, you're flipping through it, and you can't read the phone book at first. It takes a minute. It's just gibberish. But then, like, you open it up, and there it is. It's his face, bright and clear, with a number underneath it. And there's a quarter just taped to it.
Yeah, I'm going to put that quarter in the phone, and, I'm going to call him up.
You go to put in that first number, and you hear on the other line, "Oh my God, this is a juicy interview opportunity." And your finger's hovering over that first number. And Biggs Malone's on the phone with you.
Hey, Biggs.
Hey, Miami.
So I saw what you wrote about me in the paper. Where are you getting your info about my heart, my friend?
Oh, we have our sources, client confidentiality. You understand, I can't name my sources.
Yeah, but
you know the game.
You're going to have to tell me worth what to who.
Oh, the tax man. He likes collecting things. He's got his eyes set on that heart. And, if I know the tax man, and I definitely know the tax man, he's gonna get it. Especially with Tock looking for you. Ooh, you're in trouble.
All right, well, what do I got to do if I want to keep it?
Oh, I mean, my gut says you ain't keeping it one way or the other, but I suppose if you just well, I wouldn't say getting out of the city is the safest option because I know Tock's got sentries at just about every road out of town, clockwork lieutenants, that kind of thing. But, well, I suppose, I mean...
What can you tell me about him? Where does he hang out? Does he have any family? What does he... How can I change his mind? I just want to get out of the city.
So, here's what I would say. I don't think you're going to change his mind. But, I will say, I know the tax man's not after you. He's after that ticker. And if the tax man's after something, that means it's got an awful lot of value. If you could find a replacement at the bazaar, well, you'd be in good shape. I mean, you could sell that ticker for, oof, I don't even know how much. It's worth its weight in gold, probably.
What's going to constitute a suitable replacement?
I mean, it's a heart for a heart, probably. I mean, you're going to need something to pump blood, but you find it. But you probably find something at the bazaar.
How do I get there?
Take 4 lefts. Go 2 blocks south. Turn, go 2 blocks north. Turn, go 2 blocks east. Go about 3 blocks southwest, 2 blocks southeast, 4 blocks north, and close your eyes and jump. And it should be right in front of you.
You're really not keen on helping me, are you?
I just gave you step-by-step directions. You know, if you're gonna be rude, this interview can end at any time. I have the material I want.
This interview's over.
All right, good. Have a wonderful day. The issue will be out in about 3 days. Click.
How many people are out on the street with me right now?
Dozens upon, like, it's a bustling city street, but as you're looking around, there's 2 questions kind of at play there, is how many people are on the street and how many people are awake. And it seems, and in terms of how many people are on the street, dozens, maybe 100 or more. Like, it's, a Manhattan street. Think in terms of, like, congestion. But how many people are present? 3 or 4, maybe? There's the guy at the newspaper stand. A couple people yelling at a paper boy. Most everybody's just kind of going about their day.
Anybody look like me?
Yeah. One guy.
Like not pinheads?
Yeah. Well, I'd say 90, pretty much everybody on the street looks like you. Most of these people are just people.
Okay.
People that kind of wound up in the city and got stuck and kind of fell asleep. But there is somebody that looks like you. Somebody that looks awake. Standing on a corner, flipping a coin. Just kind of looking around. Real shifty, real anxious looking.
What about the newspaper stand guy? Can I go up to him and talk to him? Can I ask him?
Yeah, for sure. He's real, he's kind of, he sees you and he looks at the papers and he gets real pale. He's like, I don't want any trouble, please. I put a lot of work into my stand. Please don't burn it down and kill me.
How do I get out of the city?
How do you get out of the city? I guess in a body bag. But that's probably not the kind of answer you're looking for. But
you got a car?
I got a car. I'll loan it to you for a price.
What's your price? How about I don't burn down your stand?
Give me a roll for this.
Okay.
This is going to be, I'm going to make this a 3. I'm going to roll 3 pain dice. That's 1 success, a high of 6. So give me your discipline dice.
2 success, high of 6.
Okay. And now give me your exhaustion dice.
1?
Yeah.
A 5.
All right. I am going to, I'm going to spend one of my despair coins, which means you get a coin, which means you get to hold on to a coin. What's it called if you hold on to it? Just so I give it the correct terminology. 1 second.
A strong box of hope.
It actually is called hope. You are correct.
Please tell me that that is correct.
It's not the strong box of hope. It's the coffer of hope, but it was hope. You were.
Oh my
correct.
God. Prescient. This game is really messing with me. Okay.
Good. So I'm going to spend one of my despair coins, which means I'm going to hand it to you. You're going to get a hope coin, which means that you can use it to do some cool things over time. like in time, you can spend that hope coin and it goes away. You can spend it to remove an exhaustion, remove a check mark from fight or flight, or add an instant success to your discipline pool. But for now, because I've removed that 6, pain absolutely dominates, and I'm going to force you to mark an exhaustion.
Okay.
You have to basically, like, you have to lay it on thick with this guy. You know, you have to be like, I'm gonna burn down. You know, you have to play into being a killer. And it's a whole song and dance that you have to do. And it's exhausting. And your chest is just hurting. It's tightening. And cause you've got to kind of force yourself to get stressed out. So your chest is like tightening.
Yeah.
And you're just tired. You're so tired. But he eventually just like hands you the keys. He's like, hey, look. I said one thing when you came over here. I told you one thing, and it's not don't burn down the newsstand. Just, it's fine. It's fine. And he hands you the keys, and you've got a car. You could get out. Were it not for the two clock-faced cops running down the street. Pushing sleepers aside to try and tackle you. What do you do?
The cops are on foot?
Yeah.
Do I have time to get to the car to try to drive to the bazaar?
Yes, you do.
All right, I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to fire it up and drive to the bazaar, following the instructions that Biggs gave me. Give
me a roll for this.
Okay.
Let me find the exact amount that I'm going to be rolling. And in the meantime, go ahead and roll your discipline and your exhaustion, and then we'll see if you want to roll madness after.
Discipline 1 success, 5 high. Exhaustion 6.
And you have the option to increase your exhaustion. You always have the option to increase your exhaustion by 1 to roll an additional dice. So if you need it, you have that option.
Let's give it a shot. I'm going to increase my exhaustion so that'll give me another exhaustion marker, correct? As I keep.
Yeah. Which now your exhaustion is 3.
I have to say that I have very little on my desk right now within arm's reach, but there happened to be a weird loose ibuprofen on the desk. And so that is my hope token. That is serving as my hope token at the moment.
That's good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I thought that would be I thought that just adds to the madness. Yeah, that extra exhaustion dice was a 5, so no good.
Okay, good. So I've got 2 successes. So you've got, I think, 1 success right now?
Correct.
So if you want to add some madness dice, go ahead.
We're going to go with lucky number 4 madness dice. And that's 2 successes, a 4, and a 5.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, good. Good. Something fun has happened.
Oh, great. Yeah, fun for you or fun for me?
Fun for me.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Oh, but you have that hope coin, and you can actually undo this after I explain it. You have succeeded with 2 degrees of success, and exhaustion has dominated. Which means that you're driving through like a crowded city street, but it opens up in just such a way that you're back on that country road for like a split second. And you're driving that car along that strip of fabric again. And you're tired. You're just so tired. Your exhaustion increases by another 1, putting you up to 4 exhaustion.
I thought I was at 2 exhaustion. Okay.
You increased it. You were at 2.
Yep. Oh, I increased it with the extra dice?
You increased it by 1. No, or did you increase it to 2?
Yeah. I increased it. I increased it by adding 1 to the current 1.
You're at 3. You're at 3 exhaustion. Okay. You because exhaustion dominates even after you voluntarily increased it. You now go up to 3 exhaustion. But
and
you
6
follow
is death, correct?
6 is sleep.
Oh yes, that's correct. Which is
might
bad.
be worse. Might be worse than death.
Oh great. Okay.
But you follow the instructions to the letter. You and it ends with you closing your eyes in the car and like hopping in your seat. And there it is. A massive, bustling bazaar. Shopkeepers, people selling things. You see people running from place to place. You see a couple kids being chased by like half a dozen newsies. Just a mess of a scene, right? Like, and people just selling all kinds of weird wares and odds and ends. And it seems like you could find anything here. A memory, a dream, a ticket, a heart. It seems like you could find anything for a price. What do you do?
Is there a costume shop?
Yeah. Yeah, you wander around. If you wander around long enough, you can find absolutely anything. So there's absolutely a costume shop.
I enter and ask the proprietor to show me...
It's like a big tent.
It's a big tent.
Yeah.
Well, I enter the tent and I ask the proprietor to show me his finest masks. I want a pinhead mask. I want to look like I'm going to a costume party and I want to look like a reporter.
A pinhead mask? Well, alright then. That's not gonna run you cheap. It's gonna have to... It's gonna cost you, but yeah, I got a Parker Holloway mask here for you if you want it. And he pulls out, and it's the exact pinhead that you fried.
You got the suit that goes with it?
Oh, yeah. It's a whole package deal. I mean, it'll cost you a little extra for the suit, but yeah, it's a whole deal. I'll cut you a deal if you don't burn down the tent on your way out. How about that?
I got a car I can give you.
Cars? Oh, I mean, cars, fine. This is a costume shop. What am I going to do with a car? Tell you what, here's what I'll give you. I'll give it to you for a fear.
I'm afraid I'm going to die in my sleep.
I mean, we're all afraid we're going to die in our sleep. I'm going to need a little more than that.
I'm going to attempt to bluff and give him something fake. I'd like to try to use my superpower.
All right. So your exhaustion talent. So your exhaustion goes up to 4. To bluff this guy is probably going to be... I'm going to roll 4 dice.
Okay.
I got 1 success, high of 6.
Okay. So discipline first.
Yep.
No successes, high of 6.
All right, so roll your 4 exhaustion dice.
3 successes, high of 5.
All right. And you don't need to add any madness to this. So you're fine. Yeah, you tell him whatever you want, and he buys it. And if you would like, you can spend that hope to let discipline succeed, and then get some bonus, get a moment to recharge and heal up.
I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold on to the hope.
Okay.
Because you got to.
All right, then. Oh, you know what? That's probably the right call, because I realized discipline, at a perfect tie, discipline wins anyway. So, you've got 2 successes, discipline dominates, which means you survive. Which means tell me what the lie is, and then also... Where is when discipline dominates? So tell me what the lie is, and then decrease your exhaustion by 1, since none of your response boxes are checked.
I still don't understand how that mechanic works. I don't think that's why I haven't used any.
So the exhaustion box, or the response boxes, if madness dominates...
Okay, if madness dominates...
Then it triggers your fight or flight. And if you run out of that, you snap.
Got it. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
So that's not something I can invoke. That's all based on the roll.
Yeah.
Got it. I tell him that my biggest fear is mayonnaise.
All right. And he kind of laughs. Mayonnaise? Boy, I thought you were like a serial killer, but you're just a chump. You're just a big old goofball. Oh, I should have known. Looking at you, you look like a big old goof, but mayonnaise. Oh, I needed that. That was a good laugh. Yeah, costume's yours. And he hands it to you, and you look at the clothes in your hands, and they're the exact clothes that you were wearing. And you look down, and you're already wearing the full outfit. You reach up and touch your nose, and you prick your finger, and it bleeds a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting. The pin is outward. I had imagined it stalk down into the stalk. It was the neck. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I had visualized it as the nose. Sort of a floating situation.
Oh, that's fabulous. I like that. Okay. I asked the proprietor what places in the bazaar are unmissable. What are the good stall recommendations?
Oh, and he leans forward and he says, for your, and he just kind of waves his hand in front of you, your situation, stop by, Marquez's Irreplaceables. He could probably cut you a deal that you might really value.
What's good to eat around here?
Help you sleep, after all.
Marquez is in it. Hey, are these clothes worth anything? And I hold up to him the clothes I was wearing.
Oh yeah. I can give you some. How about this? I'll give you directions. I can't really get a whole lot out of him otherwise. But he takes them, and he kind of turns you around. He grabs your shoulders, turns you around, and gives you like a kick, like a boot in the butt, shoves you out of the tent. And you look up and over your shoulder, and the costume tent is on the far end of the bazaar, and you're standing right in front of Marquez's Irreplaceables.
Oh, I like that. Although I would have tried to sell it to him as a serial killer costume, but that seems worth it. What does the building look like? Is it also a tent? Is it a small stall?
It is just a table in front of a van. It's that kind of bazaar shop. Marquez is standing behind it. He's very old. He's got a beard. He's got a green baseball cap, and like one of those poofy green jackets.
Sorry, I temporarily lost the plot because I'm just blown away at how good this, like how cinematic this game is at creating moments.
Yep.
I'm not. Yeah, so it's like maybe it's all Jeff. So far be it for me to diminish your capability of storytelling. I'm not going to give all the credit to the game. It's a little bit of
column A and a little bit of column B.
But it's damn, that was good. Okay, I got just blown away by the moment there for a second. That was good. So what's so irreplaceable about this place?
It's he's got a lot of stuff in jars.
Oh, I was asking him.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I should have made that clear. No. I walk up to Marquez and ask him, what's so irreplaceable about this place?
I mean, it's the goods, the wares, and he kind of gestures, and it's like jars and envelopes. You kind of like pick up an envelope, and it just says like my first kiss. And you look at one of the jars, and it's the last time, my last cry at home. And he's like, I collect things that are valuable and irreplaceable. Now, I know you. I mean, everybody in town knows you. What are you looking for?
If you had to tell me what your most valuable item was, I assume they're all one of a kind, so...
Oh, for sure.
What would be the one thing that the most people would want to get their hands on?
And he says, I think we can make a deal. And he reaches into his coat pocket. It's not even on the table. And he pulls out like a folded up Post-it note. And he leans forward and he says, Tock's greatest fear.
Ooh.
I don't call him irreplaceable for nothing.
I imagine that's going to cost me quite a bit, so what do you want?
It'll cost you. Oh, I mean, you know I gotta get that ticker. You know I gotta get that ticker. It's all the taxman's raving about. It's the most valuable thing in the city. I damn near swear.
Yeah, but if I could solve my problem that way, then I would just gone directly to him and I wouldn't have even need to come to you. You go to a guy in a van because you need a guy in a van. So do what a guy in a van does.
All right, you're right. I can make a deal with you. And he pulls out a jar. And it's empty. And it just says, Grandpa's comfort. You give me that ticker. I make it so you never hurt again. And I give you the fear. Which honestly, that's a ticket out of the city. And yeah, you might feel a little old. You might feel a little slow. You might feel a little sad. But your chest won't hurt. And you'll be out of here.
Any other options?
You could try to run for it. Or, I suppose if you give Darkest Moment, the one thing that you could never tell anyone. The one thing that, well, actually, you know what? I'll make a deal with you. And he kind of gestures to the tent. Don't try to lie. Don't make this a lie, right? I know your deal. Give me your real. We'll make it a greatest fear 1-for-1 trade. And he hands you like a blank Post-it. Write it down. Be honest. Write it down so you can't lie to me with your little magic powers. I know your deal. He keeps saying that. Even as he's just like offhandedly telling you things, he keeps saying, I know your deal. Write it down. Be honest. And I'll give you this and you can get out of the city. Your chest will hurt, but you'll get out of the city.
I take a pen and a piece of paper from him, and as I bend over to write it down for him, he's kind of hovering over me, holding the fear in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to shove him, knock that envelope out of his hand,
all right,
and then try to grab it and turn it invisible so that I can make like he dropped it, lost it.
Oh, I like
and
that.
I'm going to try
That's
to book it out.
Clever.
Yeah.
That's clever. I like that a lot. All right. Give me that roll. I'm going to call that, I'm going to call it, for the speed of it, I'm going to call it 3 madness dice.
Okay.
And he's tricky. I mean, he is a seller of irreplaceable things.
So a straight 3 madness or 3 discipline and then 3 madness.
3 discipline, 3 madness, and your exhaustion dice.
Okay.
And I am rolling 8 dice because he is a seller of irreplaceable things.
Oh, God. Okay. All right.
He is not to be fooled around with.
I like this. There's kind of gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bets, bids.
That is a 3 success with 4 6s.
Okay. 1 success, 6 and a 5. So that was my 3 discipline. 3 success on the madness. And then how many exhaustion?
What's your exhaustion rating?
Right now I'm at 2.
So roll 2. No, I thought you were at 3. Oh, yeah, you're right. Discipline, succeed. You're at 2. Yeah, roll 2. Unless you want to up that to 3.
2 successes on the... 2 successes, a 2 and a 3 on the exhaustion.
Brilliant. Yeah, you shove him. There's a huge calamity. People are not happy about that, but, like, no one knows what happened. He just dropped it. People will talk about the day that Marquez dropped Tock's greatest fear forever. So now I want to play out one last moment. As you get out of the city, before I spend this coin and we end it, I want to play out one last moment.
I still have my hope piece, too.
Oh, good. Because I'm going to use this despair to make things bad for you. And say that before you get out of the city, Tock and about a dozen of these clock-faced clockwork lieutenants are waiting for you. What do? You won't have to roll for it, especially since you have that hope coin, and you have the hope coin, you have his greatest fear. You get out. What do?
So I've gotten past him, or I have to get past him?
Describe to me how you get past him, and then describe to me what you spend the hope on. I'm not going to ask you to roll for it, because you've got his greatest fear, you just have to describe to me how you get past him.
Okay, this may be corny, but I'm going to go for it. Tock became a cop because his dad was a bad man. And so I call him up on that same payphone. And I ask him, I say, I knew your dad. I met him in prison. I was only there for a short while, but we did stay together, and I was grateful to him because he showed me the ropes the first few days there and kind of made sure nobody messed with me. Your dad was a bad guy. You know how you always wondered whether or not he killed your mom? Well, he told me. Either way. Don't you want to know? And in exchange for telling him the answer, he let me leave town.
You made it... Well, I'm happy that... you could be lying to me. You could be. I know you're... I am aware of your capabilities. But, in the unlikely scenario that you're being honest, I would be happy to know that my father helped you in your time of need. And, as to the terms of your agreement, get out of my city, never speak a word of what may or may not have been whispered into your ear at that moment, and if I ever see you here again, I will ensure that you are...
Don't you want to know, though?
I don't. I really, truly don't. I'm fine. I've made my peace with this. Get out of my city, and if I ever see you here again, I will be the one that kills you. That is not a threat. That is the terms of a legally binding contract. And I want to emphasize this to you. I take the law very seriously. And he hangs up. And you turn around and there's like...
I feel like I just made a life menace, like nemesis.
You sure did.
That was great.
You turn around and there's 3 cops, like there's a cop car that just kind of like slowly pulls away. And you're eventually able to leave the city as the clock strikes 13. Like you just pull up that road.
20 minutes. Hottest 20 minutes of my life.
And the city locks up, and suddenly everything's just gone, and you're back to normal. And for the first time in a week, your chest lightens a little bit. And then I spend that despair coin. That recorder starts playing. And it starts to tell you things. Things that you didn't think anyone knew. It seems that the Mad City's got more of a bead on you than you realized. And that's just how the news operates. And that's game.
Dang.
Right?
But I didn't get to spend my hope thing.
Wait, I was supposed to ask you. What do you spend the hope on?
In addition to... I'll give the goofy answer for this one, which is in addition to finding out that guy's greatest fear, I also found his hidden stash of gold, and I retired to Florida, where I commute by jet ski.
Oh, you know what it was? I'm gonna ground that a little bit, because, like...
Okay,
No,
fine.
no, that's fine. It's totally fine. That, like, I think what it is... I mean, yeah, I think you're able to... I think that you are, because you still have that connection to the city, you are able to pawn that off. Because, I mean, it's real valuable. So, yeah, you are absolutely...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're able to pawn it off.
I like that. That's good.
You're not exactly a good person.
Better ending. No.
Yeah.
God, I feel like I could do a whole nother hour just analyzing this game.
I love it. We will have. I would like to record that eventually. Not tonight, because I gotta do dishes and eat dinner. But like eventually.
Yeah, definitely dinner. I feel like my microphone picked up like a ton of weird ambient apartment noise, like my rabbit drinking at the water bottle, some geese outside, some yelling children. So I feel like it really unintentionally edited a very weird and appropriate soundtrack.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, so just leave it in. Who cares?
Chris,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on Party of One. This was awesome.
Jeff, this was so great. I really appreciate it.
So real quick, where can people find you online?
I am on Twitter at the Chale, Chale. That is my new Twitter after kind of closing down my wrestling Twitter, and I'm going through follower withdrawal. So follow me there, because
follow Chris. He's great.
I've lost 90% of my numbers. Yeah, yeah, you can find me there. I am doing Philly's Funniest at Helium. That's coming up in like June, July, and August. I believe is across the months, maybe a little shorter than that. Who knows? I'm not very good at dates, which is probably why I do stand up.
Future me will have the dates.
Yeah. He'll edit that in
scoop.
and make me sound much more put together than I really am. And yeah.
Awesome.
I had a blast. Thank you so much. This was great.
Oh, this was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a delight. And I am going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take a future me.
Thanks, Past Me. And thanks again to Chris for coming onto the show. That game was so good. It was an outstanding game. I loved it. If you're in the Philly area, be sure to head to Helium Comedy tonight. That's May 29th at 7 p.m. Give Chris your support in Philly's Funniest. He and I would both very much appreciate it. And if you see him there, tell him you enjoyed the show. I think he would get a big kick out of that. Also, whether or not you're in the Philly area, you should follow Chris on Twitter at @TheChale. Then, while you're on Twitter, you should follow us at Party of One Pod, then slide on over to Facebook and like the show at facebook.com/Party of One Podcast. Then you can join our Discord community at bit.ly/Party of One Discord. Talk to us about professional wrestling, the show, role-playing games, all of those things that people want to talk about. It's a good community. If you enjoyed the show, consider backing us on Patreon at patreon.com/Party of One Podcast. Patreon backers get access to bonus materials, mini podcasts and interviews, and Patreon dollars help pay for hosting fees, equipment costs, live shows, convention appearances, all that kind of cool stuff. That's patreon.com/Party of One Podcast. You can also consider leaving us a nice iTunes review, a social media shoutout, or a word-of-mouth recommendation. Any of those things help new listeners find the show, which helps us do bigger, better, and cooler things. Now, if you thought listening to that podcast, just hanging out with Jeff sounds like the most fun. I wish I could hang out with Jeff for another 45 minutes to an hour every single week. First of all, thank you. That's very flattering. Second of all, you should listen to All My Fantasy Children. All My Fantasy Children is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast powered by you. Every week, my best friend Aaron Catano-Saez and I take a listener prompt and spin it into a fully fleshed tabletop character populating a shared fantasy universe, one person at a time. Check the show out at allmyfantasychildren.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Megaran featuring the D&D Sluggers. If you're interested in coming onto the show, whether you are a podcaster, game designer, professional wrestler, ex-Russian ring announcer, writer, actor, singer, medical doctor, or you just love a good role-playing game, shoot me an email at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And that's it for me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance, and as always, party on, everybody.